and will obey, observe, uphold, and maintain the Constitution and all law of the Republic. And I solemnly and sincerely promise that I will always promote all that will advance the Republic and oppose all that may harm it. Protect and promote the rights of all South Africans. Discharge my duties with all my strength and talents to the best of my knowledge and ability, and true to the dictates of my conscience. Do justice to all and devote myself to the well-being
of my conscience.
Do justice to all and devote myself to the well-being of the Republic and all of its people. The President-elect, would you please raise up your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Constitution, the following members from 44 Squadron stationed at Air Force Base Waterkloof are the crew commanding the CASA 212 that are doing today's para-dropping. The aircraft commander, who is also 44 Squadron commander, is Lieutenant Colonel Sammy Mabidi Kama. The co-pilot is Major Ashley Nashe. The load master for a paradrop is Flight Sergeant Manny Ramajela. They will be passing over Loftus Fairveld at an altitude of 12,500 feet above mean sea level, which is 7,000 feet above ground level. The aircraft will be flying at a speed of plus minus 100 knots when the paratroopers will exit the aircraft and leap to the ground. The aircrew will then divert and join the mass flyby that will take place later today. On the ground, a crew of 2 specialists, referred to as drop zone safety officers, are handling the ground safety procedures for the paradrop to take place. The drop zone safety officers are Lieutenant Colonel Wouter de Bruin and Warrant Officer Class 1, Vuzumuzi Elliot Makatini. The jumpers will be landing in the following sequence. Lieutenant Colonel Laurel Butcher, SA Army HQ Directorate, Army Strategic Direction. Captain Raymond Molatelo Mukwena, 5 Special Forces Regiment. Warrant Officer Monapula Joseph Matabele, 44 Parachute Regiment. Sergeant Andy de Cocker, 4 Special Forces Regiment. Lieutenant Colonel Llewellyn Henry Gordon, 44 Parachute Regiment. Lieutenant Colonel Kolisi Victor Kose, 44 Parachute Regiment. that you have Vodacom free Wi-Fi. You can tweet, send Instagrams, post on your Facebooks. We are hoping to live stream as well. Please do this today. It's important. Let's send the message out widely. Of the Republic of South Africa, please take your position. Distinguished guests, may you all rise for the singing of the National Anthem.
Battalion, attention! Slow answer. National salute. Present answer.
The President of the Republic of South Africa is now invited to inspect the battalion.
The battalion commander. The battalion is ready for your inspection, Mr. President. join my battalion, Mr. President. Slopes! Close order, march! Flag section, take post! Battalion will march past in columns of route. Move to the right in columns of threes. Right 10.
The battalion will now march past. We request the President to take the center stage and acknowledge the salute.
battalion will advance in review order. By the center, quick march. Battalion, stand at ease.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, may I invite you to address the nation.
Dumelang. Sanbonani. Abhishek. Limacherun. Your Majesties, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, Chairperson of the SADC and President of Namibia, Dr. Hage Geingob, former President Thabo Mbeki and Mrs. Mbeki, former President Kgalema Motlanthe and Mrs. Motlanthe, former President F.W. de Klerk and Mrs. de Klerk, all former heads of state and government, chairperson of the African Union Commission, Mama Grasa Machel, Mama Ngema Zuma, the Speaker of our National Assembly, the Chairperson of the Council of Provinces, the Chief Justice of our Republic, Justice Mogoeng Mogoeng, the Deputy Chief Justice, Justice Zondo, members of the newly elected Parliament, premiers, MECs and mayors, leaders of our political parties, religious and traditional leaders, ambassadors and high commissioners, veterans of our struggle, General Shoke, and the members of the armed forces in the leadership, General Sutole, and the members of and leaders of the police, distinguished guests, fellow South Africans. I stand before you having just taken the oath of office to be President of our beautiful country, South Africa. I am humbled by the trust that you have bestowed upon me, and I'm also aware of the challenges our country faces, but I'm also alive to the fact that our people are filled with hope for a better tomorrow. We gather here on the day that the people of our continent celebrate the unity of Africa. Today, as Africa Day, is a day of friendship, solidarity, and cooperation. It is a day on which we reaffirm our common commitment to an Africa that is at peace, that is prosperous, and that promises a better life and existence for its people. As South Africa, we are honored and deeply humbled by the presence here of heads of states and leaders from across the African continent. Your Excellencies, we are profoundly grateful to you for choosing to celebrate Africa Day amongst us, giving further poignancy to South Africa's transformation from a pariah state to a full and valued member of the family of African nations. We also recognize with appreciation those countries from other continents who have joined us here today. We remain eternally grateful to all nations represented here for the sacrifices and tireless contributions by your people and governments to the liberation of our land. Today, we reaffirm our determination to work with our sisters and brothers across the continent to realize the African Union's vision of Agenda 2063, to build the Africa that all Africans want, to forge a free trade area that stretches from Cape Town to Cairo, bringing growth and opportunity to all African countries, to silence the guns and let peace and harmony reign. Today, we declare that our progress as South Africa in all our endeavors depends on and cannot be separated from the onward march of our beloved continent, Africa. Esteemed guests and fellow South Africans, 25 years have passed since that glorious morning on which Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was sworn in as the first president of a democratic South Africa. In the passage of that time, our land has known both seasons of plenty and times of scarcity. Our people have felt the warm embrace of liberty. They have rejoiced at the affirmation of their essential and equal humanity. They have found shelter and sustenance. They have found opportunity and purpose. As the shackles of oppression have fallen away, they have felt their horizons widen and their lives improve in a myriad ways. But our people have also known moments of doubt. They have felt the cold shadow of a past so cruel and iniquitous that it has at times threatened to eclipse the very achievement of their hard-won freedom. Despite our most earnest efforts, many South Africans still go to bed hungry. Many South Africans succumb to diseases that can't be treated. Many live lives of intolerable deprivation. Too many of our people do not work, especially the youth. In recent times, our people have watched as some of those in whom they had invested their trust have surrendered to the temptation of power and riches. They have seen some of the very institutions of our democracy eroded and resources squandered. The challenges that our country face are huge and they are real, but they are not insurmountable. They can be solved, and I extend here to say that they are going to be solved. In the face of these challenges, our people have remained resolute, resilient, and unwavering in their desire for a better South Africa. Through the irrefutable power of the ballot on 8th May, South Africans declared the dawn of a new era. They have chosen hope over hopelessness. They have opted for unity over conflict and divisions. They have decided that they are going to remake our country. As we give effort to their mandate, we draw comfort from the knowledge that that which unites us is far more powerful and enduring than that which divides us. Despite our differences, despite a past of conflict and division and bitterness, despite also the fierce political contestation amongst 48 political parties in recent months, we all share the same hopes and fears, the same anxieties and aspirations. We all want our children to have lives that are better than our own, to have work that is dignified and rewarding. We are bound together by our determination as South Africans that never again shall the adversities of our past be visited on the people of this land. This is a defining moment for a young nation like ours. Today must be seen as the choice of history. It is a time for us to make the future that we yearn for. It is through our actions now that we will determine our destiny as a people. All South Africans want action. They just don't want words and promises. And there shall be action in our land to reshape our country in the image of our dreams. It is through our actions now that we will give form to the society which so many have fought and sacrificed and for which all of us yearn for. All South Africans yearn for a society defined by equality, by solidarity, by a shared humanity, by good service delivery. They yearn for a society in which our worth is determined by how we value others. It is a society that is guided by the fundamental human principle that says, umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu, mutu ke mutu kabantu, mutu ndi mutu ngabamwe bantu, munu yimunu yibanu bangwana. Our Constitution, the basic law of our land, continues to guide our way even at the darkest hour. As a nation, we therefore can no longer abide the grave disparities of wealth and opportunity that have defined our past and which threaten to imperil our future. It is our shared will and our shared responsibility to build a society that knows neither privilege nor disadvantage. It is a society where those who have much are willing to share with those who have little or nothing. It is a society where every person, regardless of race or sex or circumstance, may experience the fundamental necessities of a decent, dignified life. Today, let us declare before the esteemed witnesses gathered here that such a South Africa is indeed possible. Let us declare our shared determination that we shall end poverty in South Africa within a generation. Let us declare that when we gather to celebrate the 50th year of our freedom, there shall no longer be any person in this land who is unable to meet their basic needs. That there should be no child who goes to bed hungry. Every school child will be able to read, and every person who wants to work will have a reasonable opportunity to find employment. As we make this bold declaration, we are aware of the depth of the challenges that we must confront. We are aware of the debilitating legacy of our past, nor the many difficulties of the present. To achieve the South Africa we want will demand, fellow South Africans, an extraordinary feat of human endeavor. The road ahead will be difficult and hard. We will have to use our courage, our wisdom, and perseverance to achieve this South Africa of our dreams. It will require an ambition that is rare. Like our forebears who gathered so many years ago on a piece of veld in Kliptown to declare that the people shall govern. Let us aspire to a future beyond the probable. Let our reach extend beyond our grasp. Let our gaze stretch beyond the horizon. Let us, as we embark on this new era, mobilize our every resource and summon our every capability to realize the vision of our founding mothers and fathers. Let us forge a compact, not merely as business and labor, not as those who govern and those who are governed, but as citizens and patriots of this great nation, free and equal and resolute. Let us forge a compact for growth and economic opportunity, for productive lands and viable communities, for knowledge, innovation, and for services that are affordable, accessible, and sustainable. Let us also forge a compact of an efficient, capable, and ethical state, a state that is free from corruption, for companies that generate social value and propel human development, and for elected officials and public servants who faithfully serve no other cause than the cause of our people. We must be a society that values excellence, that rewards effort and hard work, and rejects mediocrity. We must at the same time be a society that values its young people by creating a conducive environment for them to gain skills and be productively employed to develop our country. Today, let us celebrate the great strides we have made, demonstrated so clearly in the incoming parliament to raise the prominence and contribution of women in public life. Let us work together to fundamentally and forever change the power relations between men and women in our country. Let us end the dominion that men claim over women, the denial of opportunity, the abuse and the violence, the neglect and the disregard for each other's human rights. Let us build a truly non-racial society, one that belongs to all South Africans and which all South Africans belong. Let us build a society that protects and values those who are vulnerable and who for too long have been rendered marginal. A society where disability is no impediment, where there is tolerance, and where no person is judged on their sexual orientation, where no person suffers prejudice because of the color of their skin, the language of their birth, or their country of origin. Let us preserve our natural resources for future generations as we work with greater purpose to end the human destruction of our world. On this Africa Day, on the day that our nation enters a new era of hope and renewal, we recall and celebrate that Africa is the birthplace of all humanity. We recall that it was around 100,000 years ago that a small group of some of the first humans set foot beyond this continent. With them, they took a sense of perseverance and a talent for innovation, which enabled them to progressively occupy every corner of the world. Humanity has achieved a great deal over the intervening millennium, and all by virtue of talents which were evolved on this continent. Africa is poised once again to rise, to assume its place among the free and equal nations of the world. We must use this innovative talent that originated in Africa to embrace and use the fourth industrial revolution to develop Africa, to create jobs for the youth and empower the women of our continent. Africa is poised to realize the vision of Pixley Isaka Seme more than a century ago when he said, "The brighter day is rising upon Africa." Already he continued to say, "I see the chains dissolved, her desert plains red with harvest, her Abyssinia, meaning Ethiopia, and her Zululand, meaning KwaZulu-Natal, the seats of science and religion, reflecting the glory of the rising sun from the spires of their churches and universities. Her Congo and her Gambia, whitened with commerce, her crowded cities, sending forth the hum of business, and all her sons and daughters employed in advancing the victories of peace, greater and more abiding than the spoils of war. Close quote. It is to this brighter day that we now turn our eyes to a vista that is rich with the hues of hope and promise. It is you, the people of South Africa, who have spoken. With your votes, you place your confidence and your trust in the men and women who now sit in our 6th democratic parliament. These 490 men and women whom you have sent to parliament seem to have heard the same call that the Lord made to Isaiah when he said, "Whom shall I send? Who will go for us?" Those that you elected have now said, "Send us." They have said, "Tumamina, Rumana." You have chosen them. You have chosen them to safeguard your rights, to improve your lives, and to build our country, a country that should be united, strong, and truly free. You, the people of South Africa, have sent them, and you have sent me as your president. Having taken the oath of office, I am saying now, South Africa, yebo, tumamina. And I pledge here today that I will serve you side by side and work with you to build the South Africa that we all want and deserve. A new era has truly dawned in our country. A brighter day is rising upon South Africa, and a brighter day is rising upon our beloved continent, Africa. Nkosi, sigelela i-Afrika. Uphakamise uphondo lwayo i-Afrika yethu. Morena, buluka Afrika ya rona. Ubuluke sitjhaba sa rona. I thank you as we ask that the Lord should bless Africa. Thank you very much.
Flight past from the South African Air Force will now commence. The South African Air Force participation in the mass flight past has been many months in the planning. The aircraft that you will see today come from all the squadrons and bases in the South African Air Force. The Chief of the Air Force, Lieutenant General F.Z. Msimang, has appointed Colonel Lucky Tudi as the Air Component Commander for this event. The Safety Officer is Lieutenant Colonel Pierre Talliard. The Fighter Planner is Lieutenant Colonel Zaid Pierre. The Transport Planner is Major Mwamba. And the Helicopter Planner for today's flypast is Major Zanele Vayeke. This team, together with many other support staff and ground crew from various units, have worked many long hours to ensure that the flypast is conducted in a professional and safe manner in order to display an Air Force that inspires confidence through the professional conduct of air defense actions to secure the sovereignty of South African airspace. The South African Air Force Museum display flight leads the flypast with a formation that symbolizes the collective helicopter heritage of the South African Air Force. The helicopter formation includes the Alouette 3 and Puma helicopters. These helicopters, operating in a variety of roles such as training, search and rescue, and utility roles, have laid the foundation for helicopter operations as we know them today. The Heritage Formation is led by Brigadier General Retired Church. Hot on the heels of the Heritage Flypast will be the operational helicopters. The helicopter formation consists of the Augusta A109, the Super Lynx, the Oryx, the Roy Falk, and the BK117 helicopters. The Augusta A109 and the Super Lynx were acquired by the South African Air Force as part of the strategic defense packages and are a valuable part of the South African Air Force helicopter fraternity. The helicopter formation is led by Major Wakaba, an operational commander from 19 Squadron. The Augusta A109 and the BK helicopters are both light utility helicopters used for reconnaissance, airborne command and control, trooping, search and rescue, and humanitarian assistance. The Oryx is the SAF's medium utility helicopter, also intended to be utilized for reconnaissance, airborne command and control when required, trooping, search and rescue, casualty evacuations, firefighting, and humanitarian assistance. As displayed recently in the flood reliefs in our neighboring Malawi and Mozambique. But ladies and gentlemen, if you look to the south, the Heritage Helicopter Formation, the Puma and the Alouette 3. With the upcoming heli formation, these helicopters are strategically based throughout South Africa. The Lynx is based at 22 Squadron, and the Lynx crew today includes the first female pilot to fly the Lynx, Major Apollos. The Roy Falk is operated from 16 Squadron, based at Air Force Base Bloemspruit. Helicopter formation, ladies and gentlemen. Heritage aircraft formation consists of aircraft from the South African Air Force Museum display flight, the Cessna 185, the Bosbok, and the Kudu light utility aircraft. These aircraft have served in various roles in the South African Air Force in the past and have trained many a young aviator. Aircrew who flew some of these aircraft will be some of the commanders that you will see coming up shortly. But to the south, light aircraft formation. The Harvard training aircraft is next on the list. Every pilot has to start their flying training in a basic trainer of some sorts. The Harvard aircraft from the South African Air Force Museum display flight is a training aircraft that served South Africa well. This Harvard is joined by members from the Harvard Club of South Africa, and the formation is led by Colonel Retired de Klerk. The Harvard was replaced by the Pilatus PC-7, which we will be seeing in a short while in the formations. Ladies and gentlemen, the Harvard formation. The South African Air Force Museum is the largest military flying museum in the Southern Hemisphere, commemorating the service that members from all walks of life have made over many decades. The Vampire fighter aircraft flown in this salute flypast is a forerunner in the Air Combat Command of the Air role, donating South African Air Force's commitment to the defense of the Republic. And this aircraft is flown by retired fighter pilot Colonel Ramaphosa. Ladies and gentlemen, from the south, the Vampire. The transport aircraft formation consists of a PC-12, the King Air 200, the Cessna 208, the Kaza 212, all from 41 and 44 Squadron. The PC-12 and the King Air are used for semi-VIP transport, while the 208 is a light battlefield support aircraft. The Kaza 212 is mainly used for paratrooping, as you saw this morning, and for light cargo delivery. The lead aircraft in the light aircraft formation is flown by Captain Masimola, an operational commander on the PC-12. Together with him in the formation are the officers commanding 41 Squadron, Lieutenant Colonel Malabaloa and Lieutenant Colonel Mabidi Kama, officer commanding 44 Squadron. Ladies and gentlemen, the light transport formation. The Lockheed C-130 Hercules aircraft is operated by 28 Squadron from Air Force Base Waterkloof. The C-130 is a tactical battlefield transport capability with a long-range capability for cargo transportation. The C-130 is a versatile aircraft which can be used in various roles, as has been seen in supplying humanitarian relief in Southern Africa of late. The pilots in this aircraft today are Lieutenant Colonel Karo Duvan and Major Nandi Zama, the first two female pilots, the first two female C-130 commanders at 28 Squadron. Together with the C-130 is the basic flying training formation of the Pilatus PC-7 Mark II from the Central Flying School, Langebaan. The Nkwazi formation consists of the South African Air Force's VVIP Boeing business jet, the Falcon 900 and the Falcon 50 aircraft operated by 21 Squadron based at Air Force Base Waterkloof. The Nkwazi formation is led by 21 Squadron Officer Commanding Colonel Tim Mokwena as pilot in command of the BBJ. Ladies and gentlemen, in quasi formation. The Hawk Mark 120 aircraft is operated by 85 Combat Flying School from Air Force Base Makadu. The Hawk is a transonic lead-in fighter trainer encompassing ideal handling characteristics for fighter pilot training. The aircraft is used to train the aspirant fighter pilots in all aspects of modern fighter flying. The aircraft can also be used in a low-threat environment for certain collateral operational tasks, such as limited close air support, combat search and rescue. The Hawk formation is led by Lieutenant Colonel Logie, the Ops Co of 85 Combat Flying School, and included in the Hawk formation is Major Mandisa Mfeka, the first African female fighter pilot in the South African Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, Hawk formation. The Gripen is a multi-role fourth-generation fighter aircraft operated by 2 Squadron from Air Force Base Makado. The aircraft is primarily used to protect the sovereignty of our great nation, South Africa, through air defense missions. This Gripen formation is led by the officer commanding 2 Squadron, Lieutenant Colonel Josias callsign Burbul Mashaba. Ladies and gentlemen, look to the south, Gripen formation. The South African national air carrier, South African Airways, is represented in the flypast by utilizing 2 A340 passenger aircraft. The South African Air Force and SAA have partnered in both the technical and operational fields in the past, exhibiting the positive ties that the South African Air Force has toward local industry. Ironically, members of the SAA crew have also obtained their training and previously served in the South African Air Force. Together with the South African Airways Airbus is the official South African Air Force Formation Aerobatic Display Team, the Silver Falcons. These pilots are all flying instructors from the Central Flying School based at Air Force Base Langebaan. The focus of the Silver Falcon team is to display the intricate flying skills of the South African Air Force military pilots, emphasizing the unique character traits required from the Air Force pilot. The current team flying with the SAA Airbus is team number 82, and that is led by Major Mutlane, an A category flying instructor from Central Flying School. The Airbus formation, once it has passed with the Silver Falcons, will be breaking away, turning out towards the west to reposition for a second fly past, and the Silver Falcons, after breaking away, will form up and reposition for a brief display of the flying skills of this remarkable team. Ladies and gentlemen, from the south, the SAA formation, accompanied by the South African Air Force Silver Falcon Aerobatic Display Team. The captain of the lead aircraft is Captain Andre Steenkamp. Captain Mark Dethium is his co-pilot, with First Officer Mondi Goyia as the first officer in the lead aircraft. The second aircraft is flown by Captain Pierre Gous, Captain Vusi Kumalo, and Flight First Officer Henny Bardenhorst. Ladies and gentlemen, SAA and Falcons. In the South African Airways aircraft, the 6 cockpit crew members have amassed over 110,000 flying hours between the 6 of them. The Airbus A340-600 is the second largest aircraft in the Airbus range of aircraft and the largest passenger aircraft in the South African Air Force fleet. This aircraft is capable of carrying 317 passengers with a crew complement of 14. The aircraft cruises at 880 kilometers per hour. It can travel a distance of 14,000 kilometers. And when fully fueled, the Airbus A340 takes 195,000 liters of fuel. The 3 crew members who previously served in the South African Air Force, Captain Steenkamp was previously an Air Force helicopter pilot. Captain Pierre Gous was an Air Force transport pilot. And First Officer Monde Goyia was a first officer at the VVIP Squadron, 21 Squadron. Ladies and gentlemen, the SAA formation. As South African Airways departs, we prepare for the arrival of the Silver Falcon aerobatic team number 82. The pilots in this team are all highly skilled instructors from the Central Flying School at Langebaan. Their participation in the Silver Falcon team is a voluntary responsibility that they do over and above their daily task of teaching the next generation of Air Force pilots to fly. The upcoming display will briefly showcase the skills and professionalism of the South African Air Force aerobatic display team, led by Major Motlane. Number 2 is Major Tian Stander, a helicopter pilot. Number 3, Major Corne van Deventer, a Hawk pilot. Number 4 is Major Beki Shabangu, a transport pilot. And number 5 is Major Sivuyile Tangana, also a helicopter pilot. The sequence, as we have seen now, with the Falcons coming in, was running in a starfighter formation. They're doing a wing over to the left, changing into Vixen formation, coming for the double rollback into a Cobra formation. From Cobra formation, it'll be a wing over left into a quarter clover to turn through 180 degrees and then to pull up into a Vic formation before exiting the display area. The instructors from Central Flying School have a daily responsibility to ensure that the future pilots of the Air Force are adequately trained using the aircraft of the Pilatus PC-7, developing the skills of the young officers. These instructors train the pilots who will become the future Hawk and Gripen and helicopter pilots of the South African Air Force. As the Falcons pull up for the wing over, they're going to be positioning for a break and exiting the display area before our final salute. The Pilatus PC-7 is an ideal trainer as it grooms the young pilot to transition seamlessly onto the Hawk lead-in fighter trainer, and from there into the Gripen 4th generation combat aircraft. Pilatus PC-7 is powered by a Pratt & Whitney engine, and the speeds that this crew have flown during this demonstration have ranged from 200 kilometers an hour to over 500 kilometers an hour, just 2 meters apart from each other. Ladies and gentlemen, the Silver Falcons. Closing out the salute flypast is the renowned 2 Squadron, again displaying the might and the skill of the air combat capability of the South African Air Force. The upcoming sequence will depict the Gripen in a simulated air patrol, a formation of aircraft overflying a target with one aircraft breaking off from the formation in order to conduct a visual reconnaissance profile on a suspicious target on the ground. This visual reconnaissance profile is depicted in tight turns to the right and then to the left, and low passes as conducted by the pilots. Ladies and gentlemen, the final salute from the Gripen from 2 Squadron. Call sign midnight, breaking off, turning out to the right to reposition and continue with a 180 visual recce over the stadium today. The Gripen show of force is a reminder of one of the roles of the South African National Defence Force is to defend the Constitution, a responsibility that is not taken lightly. This South African Air Force salute to the newly inaugurated Commander-in-Chief of the South African National Defence Force has been conducted with a fine balance of pride and humility, while ever being mindful of the awesome responsibility required from an Air Force that must inspire confidence, all in the service and defense of this, our great nation, the Republic of South Africa.
Ladies and gentlemen, Your Majesties, Excellencies, specifically this group of very happy people, can we all, yes, I can tell, we're celebrating, we're having a good time. Now we are again going to sing the national anthem and the AU anthem, and therefore we all must be quiet. And for the men, please take off your hats and caps and let us give this very beautiful occasion the dignity it deserves.
National salute! Present!
Now the President and the spouse will move over to the upper podium to join the invited head of state. The Chief Justice and the spouse will also move up to the upper podium to join the invited head of state. The generals of the South African National Defence Force and the South African Police Services will now withdraw from the podium.
General and Admirals, left and right. General and Admirals, quick march. Left, right, left, right, left, right. 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 Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Left, right.
The battalion will now withdraw from the parade.
Close order, march! Next section, take post. Move to right in columns of threes. Right 10. Alpha Company, on left, quick march.
What a wonderful day. What a beautiful occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, please sit because we are now going to have a special item for the special person who was the reason for all of us to be here today. So, icelwe nguye. He is the one that asked for this item. That is going to be the next item. That is beautiful also, like the whole day has been. We are now going to invite a traditional group that comes from Limpopo. It is called Chikonda Chachilungwi Traditional Dances. Chikonda Chachilungwi Traditional Dances. are told that those young ladies that are lying there are going to stay here until midnight until someone comes to bring some money. Then they'll get up. So we're looking for a volunteer. Oh, Baba. Nensizwa. Do you want to come through? The TG is ready to accompany you. Mvuleleni bo. Thank you very much. Siyabonga. DG, please come and make the final announcements. So that we can report to the President about how far we are with the program.
Ladies and gentlemen, Your Majesties, Your Excellencies, we've come to the end of our program. Firstly, we would wish to thank all the heads of state and government and the leaders of delegation who have traveled a long way to spend the day with us. We hope that you will enjoy the South African sunshine and our comfort and a little bit of our friendship today as we go forward. To South Africans who are here and those watching on television, we thank you very much for spending the day with us, and Amandla!
Your Excellencies, Majesties, friends, and compatriots, we want to thank the two program directors, former Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, Me Balega Mbete, and the Deputy Secretary General of the governing party, Mayor Ambassador Jesse Duarte. We now are ready to allow His Excellency, the newly inaugurated President of the Republic of South Africa, President Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, and his dear spouse, Dr. Tsepo Mutsipe. Please rise as we take leave of His Excellency, the President.